Welcome to the Summer Activities Forum. This is going to be about how kids can keep busy having fun or learning something new or enriching themselves over the summer. We've done some research. We've gathered research from other places. The high school has done a great job in their counseling department pulling things together, but we're going to present all of that to you tonight. We're going to start out with Principal Eldred. He is going to explain summer reading. There's been a little bit of a transition this year. So Mr. Eldred, let's talk about that.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. One of my favorite parts of any summer is being able to spend time with a good book, which is why I'm so pleased that we are continuing the summer reading program this summer in South Pasadena with South Pasadena High School. Small change that we're making this year is instead of providing the book to all 4 grade levels, we're going to be providing it to just our incoming freshmen as well as our sophomores, because we find that we get the most response for them and they are the most excited about it. So we're trying to tailor the program to our younger grades. So be looking out for an announcement soon of what the title is. I promise you it's going to be a great read. I can't wait to get my hands on it. And Shelley Wilkerson, in just a moment, our librarian from the high school, is going to be introducing you more about the community reading program and some other things we can do as far as helping our kids with their literacy over the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So Ms. Wilkerson, can you tell us a little bit more about the selection possibly, and then also what the community has to offer for readers in the summer?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm really excited about this year's selection. If you have an incoming freshman or sophomore, your child will receive a copy of the book. Some of you may be familiar with our books from the past years. This year is going to be addressing climate change. We do have a piece of fiction, so I'm hoping the kids will really enjoy this. It really addresses, it's an action-packed story of how things could go terribly wrong if we lose one of our most valued resources, that being water. It's specifically set here in California, so we have a lot of connections. I'm sure that your students will connect to a lot of the different places and such that are addressed. So we are very excited about that. I will be meeting with the 8th graders on the 16th. And then with our current 9th grade students later on this month, hopefully within their English classes, in order to get the books to all of them. Just keep in mind, if you have an incoming freshman or sophomore, that there are often assignments attached to this. It's kind of a way that some of the English teachers get to know their students. So they may do a quick write with it. They may do a short writing assignment. And so we do really encourage your student to read the summer reading book. We try and make it so that it's an enjoyable book that catches their attention. So look out for that coming soon. Something else that I would like to mention, and it is on the library's homepage, Sync offers every summer free audiobooks to students in high school, and they are a selection of both current fiction, popular fiction, more recent fiction, as well as some of the classics. So they release 2 books per week. They'll start on the 28th. You can download them and listen to them at any time. The expiration is usually 20 years from now, so they're basically yours to keep. So if you take a look at the library page, you can access the registration for it. It's all free to your students, and they've got some really good books on there. So if you're looking for some free audiobooks. South Pasadena Public Library I'm really pleased to announce they have quite a bit going on this summer. They are now pre-registering for their summer reading program, which will start on June 1st and end on July 30th. So I encourage all your students to register for that. They just keep track of the books that they read. There's prizes involved. I get a list at the end of summer as to who participates, so I get to see how many we have that actually participate. They will also be having their Wonderful Wednesday program. Some of you may be familiar with that. That's coming back now. It will be outside in the evening, starting, I believe, at 6 o'clock. So they are allowing for social distancing, and they bring in entertainment or activities on Wednesday nights for the community. So just be aware of that. They will also be introducing the Newberry Book Club for tweens. So the middle school students can participate in that, and they'll be doing some common reading there. And they also have a teen book club that has been active throughout the school year. And that will continue through the summer as well. That will be starting on June 22nd, and they choose a book each month, and then they have a book club discussion. So, and not to forget, they do have an adult summer reading program, which I encourage everybody to participate in as well. And they do give prizes to the adults as well. So, outside of South Pasadena Public Library, Los Angeles Public Library System does have a senior summer reading program. Keep in mind your students are eligible for library cards with all of these libraries that I am mentioning. So each library has different requirements. So you may need to sign off on the library card, or your student may be able to go in and get that one on their own. But Los Angeles Public Library, they are registering for their summer reading program. San Marino and Pasadena have not announced what they are doing this year with all the craziness that we've been having. I'm hoping that they will have a program this year. They have had them in the past. So as soon as I hear of any of those, I will also be putting those up on the library website through the school. So I think that is about it, unless there's any questions.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Ms. Wilkerson. There will be questions following a few more speakers that we're going to focus on the SPHS people at that point before we move on to sort of outside activities. But right now, we'd like to hear from Mr. Chan, Anthony Chan, the athletics director, about what's happening with the athletics over the summer, some sort of important dates and facilities that are available.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. So with athletics, hopefully I see a lot of parents here that I recognize a little bit. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed a full season of sports this year. As far as how we're gonna, happen in the summer, we're gonna have tryouts in those 2 weeks, which are 6/15 to 6/24. Those are gonna be the dates of all of our tryouts for all the sports. So with those of you guys with incoming freshmen, or even just anybody in the high school, just expect those dates to be tryout dates. From there, some of the coaches will have different practice dates. I know that there's been a lot of demand for facilities. Everybody wants to practice and everybody wants to have everything just 24 hours a day. It's going to be a little tough this year, mostly because now we have summer school too, and we have a bunch of different things happening that are outside of the athletics realm. So we're going to do our best to kind of prioritize the teams that are coming in season first. So if it's a fall team, obviously they should have first dibs on, preparing for the season. If you are a spring team, that puts you closer to the end because, that's not really fair of you to take up that time. So we're going to try our best to try to get as many people in as possible, but there's no promises. As far as, other things that athletics are doing, I'm going to try to find a way to get as many kids out there as possible. I will be working with some of those spring teams and winter teams and getting them different times onto the field in the gym to get them out there. So you can find all this information on sphstigers.org. And then under the athletics page, you'll see summer practices and tryouts, incoming athletes. And right there, there'll be a link, and it's just a nice spreadsheet that gives you all the different tryout dates and different practices times for different teams and contact information for all the coaches. That way you can kind of stay in touch with them. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chan. I appreciate that very much. I'm sure you will have some questions because this is a popular subject. So on to Mr. Speck. He's going to speak to us about volunteering over the summer as an option. It's a great option. How to find volunteering opportunities and what the process is as far as registering those service hours.
Okay, hello everyone. So for summer is actually a really great time. A lot of students get their summer or their community service hours done over the summer. This year's senior class had community service hours waived, but moving forward for the remaining classes, there's still a 45-hour community service requirement. And As far as service hours and submitting and completing your logs, if you go to sphstigers.org, under students, there's a community service tab. And on there, there's a fillable PDF form where you can log service hours, print, and have the person, the adult who is overseeing the organization, the nonprofit where you're serving your hours, have them sign off on the form. We also have paper copies in the student services office on campus. All service hours need to be turned in within 1 year of the service. And like I said, must be signed off by an adult who is overseeing the service hours and can vouch for the time that you've put in. On our website, under that community service tab, under the student section of our website, you'll see also there is a list of some suggested community service organizations, as well as their phone numbers. You'll see things such as Alhambra Hospital, the Armory, Arboretum, the Fremont Center Theater, Kids Space, Huntington Hospital, Holy Family, the Senior Center. Lots of different options there for you to do service. A lot of people do service within their churches and other organizations as well. I did want to also mention that there is going to be an opportunity, as there is every summer, for high school students to go out to our the SPEF summer school programs and volunteer there. Tomorrow, we will be putting up a link on our daily bulletin website. The daily bulletin website can be accessed on the bottom. There's a widget on the bottom of the SPHS Tigers home screen that says daily bulletin or Tiger bulletin. And the teachers read that bulletin and review that bulletin with their 3rd and 4th period classes. But also that's a place that parents can go, students can go to check for service opportunities. We've been adding a lot of things here and there, having to do with events in the area, events going on in the community, in the city. I know that tomorrow I'm going to put on there the link that I was given by SPEF today, where you can sign up, parents can sign up to volunteer to help out with their summer programs, but also the high school students can sign up. They can volunteer in any of the camps, the summer camps, the coding camps, all of those opportunities, as well as the arts camp, maybe summer school classes. They may want to volunteer in a kindergarten summer school class. They can put all that in the Google form, and then the summer school principals will get back and kind of look at the list of who's signed up and who's willing to volunteer, and see if they can place those students in into classrooms and into programs this summer. So yeah, it's a great thing to get started with, and then just make sure that those logs, like I said, there's an online form you can fill out, download, or you can get one in our office. Those just need to be turned in physically to Student Services office within 1 year of service, or they can be emailed to my assistant, Vivian Nuno, and her email is vnuno@spOSD.net. You can always email those PDF forms to her as well once they've been signed off. All right, thank you so much. Hope that people can find some great opportunities out there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speck. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a very valuable experience. I'm glad that it's back in gear after COVID, because I think it's really beneficial to everyone in the community, not just students, but everyone. Okay, so we're going to move on to Ms. Peterson, and she's going to speak to us about SPEF. So essentially, start us off with what are the summer options for classes and how to register?
We have, so you register by going on our website to the summer school page, and there's a registration link there. There's also a catalog there that you can download and take a look at. It lists all the classes. There are recovery options, there are advanced credit options, and there are some prep for options, which many of the incoming 9th graders will take just to get used to the new math, or bio is always a challenge for some kids. So we have a prep for bio class, which is nice. And it just kind of gives them that first 4 weeks of school so they feel more confident going in. The recovery classes this year, for those of you who have students who need it, are being paid for by the district with their grant that they received last year, which is a great opportunity if you want to recover some classes as well. We have online options as well as in-person options. I always personally recommend the in-person option. I think it's a better learning environment for the student, but there are many reasons why high schoolers may not be able to make in-person classes. Some of them work, some of them may be traveling to family, and the online option through Edgenuity is just a nice way for them to be able to do summer school and do some other things as well. So like Mr. Speck said, we do have options as well for for people to volunteer either in the camps or in summer school. So he will post that link, but if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask me or email me, and I'll be happy to answer any of those questions.
Okay, great. Curious about payment. Are there any scholarships available with SPEF?
We do have scholarships for families who need. We have a tuition assistance, which can get you up to 50%. And we did have a wonderfully generous family who donated a fairly large amount to help with low-income families to kind of cover the other 50% for kids who want to take advanced credit. So we do have that option as well. And that's just automatic if you apply for tuition assistance and you are doing an advanced credit and you get the tuition assistance, then that I will automatically apply the community scholarship fund from the family as well. There is, for that community scholarship fund, there is a limited amount. So once it's gone, but we have been doing it just on a first come, first serve basis. So.
Okay, and regarding the funding for SPEF, it's community funded. I mean, aside from the tuition, what do you guys do with the money that you collect from summer school? Like, how are you using that?
It all goes back to the school district. We are not a for-profit. We raise funds for the school district. So everything goes back to the school district. It's used through all 5 schools on curriculum, programs, teacher direct grants. Specifically at the high school, like all of the pathways that are at the high school were initially funded by SPEF. Our major grant committee just approved the broadcast journalism. So we're funding part of the broadcast journalism. In the past 5 years, we have, for teacher direct grants, we have been $80,000 specifically to teachers. Ms. Wilkerson, and there's lots of books that go into the library from SPEF. So it all goes back to the schools. That's
okay. Okay, great. And so my last question for you is, are you aware of, are there any other opportunities for credited classes
for sure,
besides SPEF?
Yeah, there are lots of opportunities. I mean, we live in an area where there are just so many opportunities for students and families to find the right fit for their kids that we are very fortunate. But there are other ed foundations that do summer school. The PCC does summer school. You literally just Google it and options will come up. I often work with families looking for, if we don't offer a class that they need or if we're full, I will help them look for other areas. But I often just send them to the high school counseling website because they have a lot of opportunities there. They've already done the work for many of the students. So that's just usually where I go myself.
Okay. Speaking about that, as far as the counselor's website, I want everyone to know that we're going to compile a master document with all of these links and resources, because I know you guys aren't sitting there with a pencil and paper writing everything down. And so once the recording is published, we will, along with that, distribute a master document for resources. Okay. So I guess with that, we're moving on to Chris Holmes, who's going to speak about a very exciting subject, which is a paid job, summer job for our teens.
Okay, so a little switch in the agenda here, right? Not Kristen first, me first. Okay, I have some slides to share. So I will share my screen.
Chris, I'm sorry. I was just really excited about your subject. I think there's been a lot of like buzz about it. And so that was the first thing on my mind. So yeah, take your time. It's super interesting.
Oh, thank you. Okay, are we seeing my slides?
Yes.
Okay. Haven't done this too often, so hopefully I'll know how to get to the next one. Go back, go back. Okay, now I'm getting my control of it. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Holmes, PTSA president, and talking about summer paid jobs for teens. There was an article published recently in the Washington Post. It was on March 31st of this year, titled "Teens Need Summer Jobs, Especially This Year." So that got us thinking that it would be really great to include this subject in tonight's forum. I'll put the link to the article in that document. Just like Jenny said, you'll get all of it following, in days following this forum. In the article, Lisa Demore, a psychologist and author whose Ask Lisa podcast addresses questions from parents about raising children and teens. She says, part of what helps young people grow is to be exposed to a wide range of experiences, going places, interacting with other people, trying things outside their comfort zone. That's where we see growth. It's also exactly what's been missing from the picture for the last 2 years because of the pandemic, obviously. So that's, traditionally, this is what summer is good for. It's a time for novelty and adventure because not everything that you need to know can be learned in the classroom. Summer is different from the school year. And in a job, Demore says, teens are forced to discover or build out parts of themselves that are not required for school or home or sports. Jobs help teens gain confidence and become more independent. For students applying to university, we've heard from admissions officers and alumni admission interviewers that they like to see that a student has paid job experience. They think the responsibility and the skills that a student learns in a paid job is very important. So why are jobs good for teens? Oh, I missed that one earlier. My apologies. This is basically what I already said. Why are jobs good for teens? In a job, teens are answering to an adult who's not their parent. They're dealing with coworkers or customers. They're learning new skills. They're engaging with the world, gaining work experience, making their own decisions, and stating the obvious, they're making their own money. You could probably list even more reasons why jobs are good for teens. So where to begin? First, students can think about location, how far from home or school they can work, transportation, how will the student get to and from work, indoor jobs versus outdoor, do they have a preference? The type of business or service. They can think about what they like, where do they like to go, what do they like to eat, do they have a hobby, or are they exploring a field of interest or want to explore something new? Flexibility in the work hours, what days or times are they available? Remember to also consider local cash paying jobs such as babysitting and pet care, cleaning, yard work, weeding or planting a garden for someone, running errands, painting, etc. And then teens can learn to network to connect with job opportunities. So talking with neighbors, teachers, coaches, family members, or places where they've previously volunteered, those can often bring paid job opportunities. And keep in mind that some employers will require an employee, even teens, to get a certification such as first aid, CPR, AED, or to complete online training such as harassment, food safety, or youth protection, especially if they're being hired to work for a youth organization or summer camp for kids. And did you know that teen students need a work permit? According to our child labor law, all minors under 18 years of age employed in the state of California must have a permit to work. Some employers may even require a permit for a student age 18 if that student employee is still in high school. And some internships have required a work permit as well. The work permit is job specific. It's not a general permission form that can be used for any and every job. So how do students get a work permit? It's a process. It requires the student, the parent guardian, the school, and the employer. At SPHS, work permits are handled by Miss Allison Strain. Her title is Workability Coordinator. A student can obtain the form at school or by email request. At school, the forms are available prior to 11 a.m. every day in room 415. The student and parent guardian will fill out their parts of the form. Then the form goes to the employer. Then the student emails it to Ms. Strain. And that's one way the process can go. In some cases, the employer will give the student the work permit form. So they've filled out their part. Then the student and their parent guardian will complete their portion, submit it to Ms. Strain. The student submits it to Ms. Strain. Ms. Strain will complete the form and return it to the student via email. This is probably the easiest way to do it is by email, but when school is in session, it can be handled in person in the office before 11. And then it would be given back to the employer. So it just depends which way it's being initiated. When applying for a work permit to work during the school year, there will be a grade check. In the summer, there's no grade check, even if the student is taking a summer school course. And any questions can be sent to Allison Strain. I've put her email here. We'll include that in the document, but the students are to be handling the submitting of their work permit form to Ms. Strain. And then there are a lot of resources online about summer jobs for teens. You can find a lot. And the state of California does have their Employment Development Department website. It does include an app called Cal Jobs. We'll share a link again to a tip sheet that they've produced for teens looking for summer jobs and to their website. So we encourage your teen, or please encourage your teen. We encourage you to encourage your teen to look for a summer job, fit that in with some other things. And the possibilities are numerous. I've just listed a few things here, some summer jobs to consider. I mean, it's really wide open. A lot of different ideas here. So that concludes my presentation. Anyone have any questions? Or Jenny, do you want questions now or later?
Yeah, well, Chris, that was fantastic. I wanted to actually back up, and if everyone could hold their questions about summer jobs for a moment, because we were going to, which I skipped over, I apologize. We were going to have the questions for Mr. Eldred, Ms. Wilkerson, Mr. Chan, Mr. Speck, Ms. Peterson first, because we're kind of sectioning them out as to SPHS specific sort of activities related to off-campus types of activities. So if anyone has any questions for the speakers before Chris, now's the time to throw them out there.
I do have a few in the chat for me. Two for Ms. Wilkerson or Mr. Eldred. One is, I have an incoming freshman who's not currently in the middle school. How will we get the book for summer reading?
They can pick them up at the high school starting after the 16th of May. I will have them at in the library at the high school, but I'll have some at the front office. Or when they register at the high school, the registrar will have some of them as well.
The other question is, when will we find out the name of the book?
It will be released on the 16th when we announce it to the middle school kids.
Great. And then I guess this is for Mr. Eldred. Last year's summer rec program that was funded through through SBHS COVID funding was a blessing. Is there any chance there's this program like that that's going to occur this summer?
I believe that is an Anthony Chan question.
Okay.
So, I think what we're trying to do is we're going to try to get as many people out there as possible. I've been talking to a lot of the coaches to try to narrow in some times. The main difference between last summer and this summer is there was nothing else on campus last summer. There was like barely anybody on the campus. So it was really easy I don't want to say easy, it was still a lot for me, but managing everybody into the school to kind of work for summer rec and getting all the kids out there. But now that we have a lot of other demands on our facilities, I'm just gonna name out one that the district endorses and that I endorse is the district swimming program that eats up a lot of pool time, for example, right? And then once you stack those things on top of our facilities that, we're still trying to get the fall teams to practice because that's the most upcoming season. It is a little bit hard sometimes to just get everything out there all at once, unless we start practice at 2 a.m. in the morning, which might be fun, right? But we're going to try our best to get it going. And I'll be talking to the coaches. Feel free to reach out to your coach and kind of advocate for them to see if they want to work in the summer. But as far as money from the government to kind of fund that, we don't have that this year. So all of those things will have to be self-funded. So fundraising for your teams and kind of honoraria-ing or having the coaches volunteer in the summer, that would be kind of the thing that we're looking at this year.
Awesome. Thank you. Mr. Eldred, I'm going to try and throw this one back at you, but maybe you'll throw it somewhere again too. This has to do actually with Chris's presentation, but I think it's more of a question for you, which is for the work permit. Will Ms. Strain be available in the summer if they get hired after school's out, or how do we get the work permit after? Do you know?
Actually, I spoke to Ms. Strain today.
Oh, sorry, for Chris.
Yeah. John, do you know the answer, or do you want me to share what she shared with me?
I'm going to let you continue.
Okay.
I delegate. This is what I do.
Well, I did talk with her. I was hoping she would be able to introduce herself and share about the work permit with all of you. But the best I could do was at least ask her a whole lot of questions and get the information to make sure that I shared it correctly with all of you. My kids have actually had to get a work permit, so I was familiar a little bit with her. What she told me is that the best way, once school is out, she does work part of the summer, but it's right now she does just the mornings. Email is the best way to communicate with her, get the form, and it can be sent back and forth via email. And my students have had to do that with Ms. Strain even during the school year. It's just a little easier than trying to go during the limited office hours. So that's what she's recommended. And because I mentioned in the process, it can either be started by an employer. Like, for example, there are times when the employer has their form, and they filled out their part, and it's given to the student who is being offered the employment, who's going to be hired. And then other times the student could start by getting the form. So if your student, she did answer me this, if your student is thinking about a summer job, but doesn't have one lined up yet, doesn't have an offer, isn't working with an employer on a hiring packet right now, they could go ahead and either go into the office before 11 o'clock, room 415, or email Ms. Strain and ask for that permit form. And then the student and the parent guardian can complete their parts. And then when they are working on being hired for a job, if they need that permit, then they've already got their part ready to go to give to the employer. But like I said, sometimes the employer has it and gives it to the student employee.
Chris, could I ask?
So email, yeah.
Oh, Chris, could I just ask you a question real quick? I mean, this was actually a surprise to me to learn about this particular aspect, that we had to have this permission. Could you explain sort of what the source of that is and the root of that is and what it's all about?
No, child labor laws. That's really the extent of my knowledge on that. But you can find a lot about it online if you, I didn't want to go into all of it here.
Okay, no problem.
And like I said, I did mention in my presentation, another thing that is legal and specific to California are some of the expanded requirements for employees who are working in organizations or businesses that deal directly with children. So just be aware, that's why I mentioned about certifications. And for anyone doing like babysitting or anything like that, it's always a good idea to have the first aid, CPR, AED. My son and I both did that, and it was great because they offer online and classroom both. So you start out by doing your online portion, complete that, get your certificate for the online part, and then, you know, sign up for a time and place, you know, that works for you to go in and finish the in-person practice part. And then your certification is finished. That's through Red Cross. But there's other online trainings.
Can I chime in really quick as well with the work permits over the summer? I know that there was a concern if Ms. Strain isn't there over the summer. If over the summer she works limited hours, if she's not there, email her. If she doesn't get back to you and it's during, you know, you can contact the front office, the main office, and that task will be either delegated to one of the secretaries or a registrar. So that's how it's happened over summers. When Ms. Strain isn't available, there would be someone that would be able to step in and hopefully help out with that as well over the summer. So just a heads up, start with Ms. Strain. If she's not available, then we can find someone that can help you out.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speck. So Kristen, do you have any more questions for the SPHS?
I don't have any questions at all.
Okay. So in that case, on to you.
Great. I will take over. Okay, so let me share my screen. So this was mentioned earlier. I'm actually just going to show you how to get to this one. There are a lot of things that guidance counseling has already put together for summer things that you can do. So if you go to the Tiger website, sphstigers.org up here, and you go to academics and go to guidance and counseling, you scroll down to the right, you can see enrichment and summer programs. And they have this awesome list. Now, some of these I know for sure might have already had applications due since it's already April 25th if you wanted to learn like a college summer program, but they're good to know for the future. And some of them, if they didn't have high enrollment, might still be enrolling. So there are all these study abroad opportunities. There's some internship opportunities. There's overnight summer programs, gap year programs, community service programs that this company gives. Naviance, if you've logged into your student's Naviance account, they have a ton of things that they have, like college enrichment programs. And then here's some more as you go down here. So this is really a great resource that our counselors have put together already. And they even noticed for opportunities available through our SPH internship program, you can click here. So I have that here, our internship program. You can look here to try and find internships for your student as well. And not only do they have the internship program that we offer at the high school, but you can go to more and then additional opportunities. And there's even more opportunities that they list here for internships where all of these places, which is a pretty amazing list when you look at it. Judy Chu, NASA, you know, like all sorts of places. So hopefully you can see how to navigate to those. Then I also have my little slideshow. PCC offers summer school classes. They're regular college classes. They're kind of intense. You can go, there are ones in all sorts of different things. So I'm just putting up lists here. You can do just American Administration of Justice, sign language, math, computer classes, dance, film, history, environmental studies, fitness classes, humanities, photography. This isn't even a comprehensive list of all the classes that are available this summer. But there's a ton of them. They do need to approve that your high schooler is going into them. But there's so many different ones. I mean, think of the ones that we don't offer at, you know, South Pass, like American Sign Language or archaeology, you know, things like that, that they might want to take, that they can't take during the normal school year. So maybe taking something totally outside of their norm would be great. Claudia is here and she is going to show you how to register for those. So I'm going to pass it to her and then she's going to come back to me.
Hello, everyone. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, so this is a PCC registration how-to. So step one, you go to the PCC website, the homepage. First thing you'll see on the top right is an Apply Now button. You can click on that and then you'll get to the middle or high school student tab, which is with all the others. You click on that and now you're in concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment. The one we'll focus on today is concurrent enrollment. So you click on that and then there's a list that is given that shows you the exact steps that you'll take to register for all your classes. So there's an Apply Now that's right under the link on stage one, and it sends you to the OpenCCC establishing page. This will help you create an account for OpenCCC. So step two, which is completing the recommendation form and the medical consent form. So for the recommendation form, you need to complete it yourself, and then the other half you'll take to either your high school counselor or to the office, and then they'll complete the rest for you. If you're under the age of 18, then you need to do the medical consent form that you'll fill out with your parent or legal guardian. The last thing you'll need is your most recent high school transcript, which you can acquire by asking the front office. So this is just a reminder of what you need to submit. Now, step three is to activate your Lancer Point account. So after applying, you should receive an email within like 72 hours about your Lancer Point number and your link that is needed to set up the account. Once your account is set up, you should be able to access your Lancer Point/student email. So step four is registering for classes. This is the good part. So after logging into Lancer Point through the login section of the Apply Now, it was right next to Apply Now in the homepage. You can click on that, log into Lancer Point, and then you can find My Classes and Academics underneath the homepage. In that section, you can scroll down a bit and you'll find the add/drop classes, which is in the Register for Classes section. You click on that, and then you should find an option to select the term that your desired class is in. And then if you can submit everything if you've completed the pre-registration survey. That should be all, and I'll take it back to you, Ms. Swift.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Don't forget, everybody, there's PCC. If the class you want isn't there, there's Glendale Community Colleges. There's other community colleges around that you can look at that probably aren't so far. Maybe they're near your work, so your student could go into work with you and you could drop them off on the way and pick them up at lunch, something like that. Those are all options. Okay, back to this. Another option is the Armory in Pasadena has some arts classes. These are all for teens ages 12 to 18. We'll put the link again in that PDF that we're going to send out with the video in a day or two, but you know, more arts classes that the kids could take, which would be really fun for them. There's also cooking classes for kids age 12 to 17. This institute called Summer Culinary. I know they had some that were you could stay and it's like an overnight camp for kids, but also they had ones where you didn't have to stay overnight. In town, we have Emily Klein is actually a mom and South Pasadena artist, and she does art journaling classes for teens. And she's putting some of those together this summer. She does them currently at her home and is trying to get a place of business to do them in later, but she does those through the summer and through the school year. Theater 360 is up in Pasadena. They have for ages 12 to 19 a 2-week musical theater immersion program that trains students in daily acting, voice, and dance. They usually have a New York trip as well. I'm not sure if they're doing that this year, but that's pretty fun for those students that do this 2-week immersion program. You can also take a trip to New York. So all those kids that were just in Shrek the Musical, this might be a really, really good one for them. Another one that might be good for those kids or kids who haven't even tried it is the LA County High School for the Arts. It is a high school, but they have a summer program for ages 9 to 15. So some of the younger high schoolers could go there. And you have classes that feature 5 different departments: cinematic arts, dance, music, theater, and visual arts. And then at the end of the day, you focus on a single department for your intensive. There's also anyone into sports. San Gabriel Elite is a volleyball group that does summer volleyball camps. So if anybody's into volleyball, they do them for 18 and under. They're a week each. You can sign up for the whole summer and go every single week, or you can go just a week at a time if you just need an extra week to do something and get your kid out of the house. I did that with my 12-year-old last year, and he actually loved it, but it also got him moving, especially after COVID. He needed a little bit of movement, so it was great. And they have them pretty much every week from June 6th to August 26th. So those are really great too. And that's all I've got, Jenny.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. All right, I guess I only have one more thing to add here, which is that our neighboring municipalities have all of their own recreational activities programs, and we are all eligible to join in on them. There just might be, it might be free for the people who live in the city, and maybe a very small fee for people who don't. But just to give you some examples, in Alhambra, they have a teen basketball league. They have badminton, table tennis, volleyball, basketball, open play at Almanzar Park and Granada Park. They have most cities have a robust aquatics program as well, and just recreational swim that you with registration you can do besides just the swim team. I think very significant opportunities which are involved in these aquatic programs are the lifeguard training and certification programs. 15 weeks. So in Alhambra, for example, for an out of city person, $145 for 15 weeks, including your certification. That's a pretty great opportunity, I think. San Gabriel, they have week-long tennis sessions. They also have a swim team and open aquatics. Pasadena has they call it the Pintoresca Teen Education Center. There's tutoring, science, math, art, DIY, poetry, filmmaking, ceramics, photography, and college readiness. Quite a lot. And they also have a teen summer camp from noon to 6, $50 a week. Where they engage in some of those enrichment activities. And then City of Glendale, they have teen night out, Fridays 5 to 9. I imagine that's for the parents too. They do ping pong, karaoke, video games. So generally you can look beyond South Pasadena. We have our own classes here, but if you just reach out, there's a lot more in neighboring cities, and it's not very expensive. So that's all. If anyone has any questions about sort of the surrounding municipality activities or PCC or any of those things, now's the time.
Got a few PCC questions. One of them was, and maybe you know this, Claudia and Jenny, does PCC charge high school students for the summer classes?
Okay, I can answer that. I mean, it's a difficult question. It depends on you. I think that generally you could expect that they will, but there are opportunities for the classes to be free.
Great. And then the other one was, do students receive high school credit for courses taken through PCC? And I believe the answer to that is they can for some. You would have to check with probably Miss Witchman at the high school to make sure you could get credit. Some of the classes aren't classes that the high school would fit into even the high school realm. So that wouldn't really work. I saw this screen here and I just thought I'd share it with you. This is from PCC. Take PCC courses while you're still attending middle or high school through concurrent enrollment. You can satisfy a high school course requirement and or get a jump start on college courses. I know when I was in high school, I took a class at the local community college and it was some weird math class that I can't even remember what it was called, and matrices. And they did not give me high school credit, but I did get college credit for it. Luckily, my college took that credit. So one less math class to take once I got there, which was lovely.
Claudia, you could maybe speak about your motivation to learn the process of applying to a PCC class. What was it that you were looking for?
Well, I chose a class in art. I really wanted to further my experience in art. And so I found a class at PCC and I was just like, even though it didn't give me any credit, I just really wanted to take it. So I took the initiative and I signed up and I registered. And so that's basically all you really need is just drive, get there.
And I mean, in her case, I guess she wasn't getting credit for it. She just wanted to do it for fun. So there's always that option. It doesn't always have to be for credit. It's still an excellent educational resource that we have close by.
That's all I have for questions.
And I just wanted to add real quick, Mr. Speck reminded me that always check with the high school to make sure that you get pre-approval so that you do earn credit, if in fact that's what you're trying to do.
And John, when you say check with the high school, is it check with your counselor or check with Miss Wichman?
I would say definitely start with your counselor, and if you can get a hold of Ms. Wichman, even better, but your counselor should be able to answer that question.
Okay. Mr. Chan, are you still here? See him on there, but he's muted, so he might have gone.
Yes.
Okay, great. There is one late question for you. I have an incoming ninth grader and wanted to get a sense of how competitive it was to make the freshman team. Are some sports more competitive than others?
Yeah, generally so. I mean, I guess it depends on which sport you're talking about. You know, I think basketball is super impacted. There's just a lot of people that want to play basketball. But if you're talking about football, I mean, you know, we'll take you, you know, so it just depends from sport to sport. Was there a sport specific that they had a question about?
Kathy, if you want to, yeah, oh wait, here we go. Tennis and swimming.
Tennis and swimming. Swimming can be a little bit more competitive just because the times need to meet a certain time. And then there's only, I think they're taking about 15 people for each level. But they'll also have a practice squad sometimes. So if, you know, if they're willing to put in the time and effort to kind of eventually get there to be on a squad, that's totally fine. Tennis, you know, I think most of those kids have had some sort of experience, but, you know, roll the dice, give it a try and see how it plays out.
Awesome, thank you. That's the last questions, Jenny.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you learned something that might be helpful to you for planning the summer. And I think it'll be really helpful once we get that document to you. So you'll have all those resources to figure things out. Thank you for coming. And thank you for everyone for speaking tonight.